when you have opening weekend like this, is it just about getting 3 wins, or do you come into these games saying we want to accomplish these things on top of the wins?
Well, Brian, it's a little bit of both. Obviously, you play to win anytime you're on that field, and I stress to the players so often that learning to win in the game is critically important. That's paramount. We're going to line up with the guys every day that we believe that day give us the best chance to win. But there's also lessons that happen too. Base running decisions, right? Ryder Woodson gets thrown out there at third base on that RBI base hit. We know that can't happen, right? And so there's opportunities to learn. Last night, in the 9th inning, Aiden Teal on that base hit to left center field, throwing the ball to third base. The ball's got to go to second base and keep the double play in order. And so those are things that have happened over the last 5 weeks, and you instruct them and teach them. And then the lights come on and the moments happen, and sometimes they try to do too much. But I'll never fault a young man for trying too hard, right? And so certainly we've got a lot of things that we can learn from this weekend and grow from as a team. And just fortunate that we found a way to win 2 ball games today and 3 games on the weekend.
Steve?
It never felt like maybe you were in a rhythm offensively the entire weekend. You had some situational things that went well for you, like when Sean gets a big hit there. Kind of what do you attribute that to, and what did you see?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, Steve. It's obviously still early, and it's the beginning of the season. And, our guys have collected up enough at bats, but some of them need to slow their heart rate down a little bit, candidly, in big key moments and not press. And you see the players that have the experience, Ace Reese and Bryce Chance and players like that have been in the moments and been in the big moments, been in this stadium, and you see, for the most part, the at-bats that they have. And so those will come. Listen, somebody like Aiden Teal or Garrett Fry or Jimmy Nunnally, those guys are too good of players and too good of hitters, and so they'll learn and they'll take their lessons from this weekend and hopefully just continue to get incrementally better a little bit, because we have to do a better job of capitalizing on opportunities. You're not going to do it all the time. Who does? Okay, but more barrels and consistent approaches, with runners in scoring position.
Sam?
Reed Stallman came out of the last game. Was that from an injury or just part of the game?
Yeah, no. On that swing, he did something, and he just didn't look comfortable to me, and he went out and to play defense the next inning. He just did not look like he was moving around real well. And so we'll assess him. I think it's something maybe with his hip. And so, I just didn't want to take a chance and continue to have him be out there. And, so I know the kid wanted to, but I get to make those decisions. And it was time to put Blake Bevis in.
Right. Kind of a similar question in the first game. Tomas was warming up, and you came out to have a look at him for a second. What was going on there?
His calf got stiff. I kept seeing him stretch his calf. Went out there to make sure he's okay, and he said he's fine, but that's what they say. That's what they all say. That's what Reed Stallman said, right? And my job is to read between the lines and say, all right, what is best for that individual player, the opening weekend, and what is best for our team. Tomas Valenkas is the ultimate competitor, and you've heard me say this before, that last year when I go out to the mound, anytime to take the ball out of his hands, I thought I was going to get into a fist fight, and I thought that was going to happen again today. He just loves to compete. Probably felt like he could still go, but what I saw the velocity tick down a touch. And, you just don't want to put a young man in a compromising position that he changes something and we're dealing with something bigger.
Steve?
go back a little bit, 2 at-bats from Bryce Chance. One in game 1 today when the game felt like it was in hand and 2 outs. It'd have been easy just to go take a selfish swing, but he ends up getting a walk, comes around and scores.
Yeah.
And then in game 2, similar situation. This time he didn't score, but those quality at-bats there to give you the chance to extend. You know, what does that say about Bryce and about this culture?
Well, Bryce Chance is a winner, right? He understands what his skill set is, and he also understands the entire game, right? You know, that he's not just up there trying to drive the ball to the gap every time, right? It's a team game, and you got to take those walks when you can get them. How about the safety squeeze he gets down, right? The game, you know, told us to do that, and he executed it with perfection. And you know, he's proud to be back here. He's proud to be wearing this uniform, and that is reflected in his play in the first 3 ball games.
Dave, last question.
The nature of these 3 games, being competitive as they were, did it give you and Coach Parker really a chance to see not just your starters, but to get a lot more matchups maybe than opening weekends typically get a bullpen?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I mean, part of me opening weekend would like to have been in a game that maybe wasn't so close. But as I told the team after this game, that, you know, that's good, right? We ran guys out there that got opportunities to pitch for the first time in this uniform, and they did a really terrific job. And that's going to help us the more of situations that we get. Now, wouldn't I love a blowout at some point? Sure I would, okay? And a chance to breathe a little bit, but it's good for those players to be in the fire. You know, Maddox Webb to come in, you know, with a 2-run lead in the 9th. You know, Chris Billingsley to come in when he did. I mean, how about Will Kirk? You know, he's never pitched a college inning, and that 7th and 8th inning were fantastic. Jack Gleason, right? Jack Gleason has thrown the ball really good for us in the preseason. We have a lot of confidence in him, and for him to go out there and do what he did. Dane Burns had the big strikeout, but then he had the walk, you know. But there's value in all that. Let me tell you something. There's a big difference in pitching when the game is close than pitching with a 7 or 8 run lead, right? And so those butterflies get going, that excitement gets going, and you all know in this league there's going to be a lot of games like that, and so they need to get used to it and understand how to manage those innings, you know, when the game is tight.